Welcome to Day Zero Prep. I am Nuno, your host, and today we are talking about gold, the oldest store of value in human history, the asset that has survived every empire, every currency collapse, and every financial reset the world has ever seen. If you watched our previous videos on silver and land, you already understand the foundation. Today we complete the triangle. Let's get into it. Most people think about gold the wrong way. They see it as an investment, something that goes up and down in price, something you buy when the market is nervous and sell when things calm down. That is not what gold is. That is not what gold has ever been. Gold is not an investment. Gold is the measurement against which everything else is measured. It is the reference point, the anchor, the thing that stays still while everything around it moves. Think about this. In ancient Rome, 1 ounce of gold bought a high-quality toga, a fine belt, and a pair of sandals. Today, 1 ounce of gold buys a high-quality suit, a fine belt, and a pair of shoes. The gold did not go up in value. Everything else went down. That is what gold does. It does not make you rich. It keeps you from becoming poor when the system resets. And systems reset. Always. Without exception. Every currency in human history has eventually failed. Every single one. The Roman denarius, the Spanish escudo, the British pound before it was decimated, the German mark in 1923, the Zimbabwean dollar, the Venezuelan bolivar. Paper currencies fail because governments always find a reason to print more of them. And every time they print more, each unit in your pocket buys a little less. Gold cannot be printed. That is its superpower. That is why it has survived everything. Now let us talk about the difference between gold and silver, because they are not the same tool and they do not serve the same purpose in a prepper's strategy. Silver is your spending money in a collapse scenario. It is accessible, divisible, and recognized everywhere. You use silver for day-to-day transactions when the banking system is gone. A bag of food, a tank of fuel, a medical supply. Silver handles the small trades that keep you alive in the short term. Gold is your wealth preservation across the collapse. It is what you use when the dust settles and a new system emerges. And a new system always emerges. When governments start rebuilding economies, when new currencies are introduced, when land and large assets change hands, that is when gold speaks. Gold buys land. Gold buys infrastructure. Gold buys position in the new order. In every historical collapse, the people who held gold came out the other side with their wealth largely intact. The people who held paper came out with nothing. Together, gold and silver give you coverage across the entire arc of a collapse, from the immediate chaos to the long-term reconstruction. That is why both matter. That is why both belong in a serious prepper strategy. Now let us talk about practicalities. How much gold should you own? In what form? And where do you keep it? The form matters enormously. Gold ETFs, gold certificates, gold stored in a bank vault on your behalf. These are not gold. These are promises. And in a collapse scenario, promises are worth exactly what the institution behind them is worth, which may be nothing. Physical gold, coins and bars that you can hold in your hand, is the only gold that counts when systems fail. If you cannot touch it, you do not own it. In terms of form, gold coins are preferable to bars for most preppers. Coins are universally recognized. Their weight and purity are guaranteed by sovereign mints. They are easier to trade in smaller quantities. The most recognized internationally are the South African Krugerrand, the American Gold Eagle, the Canadian Maple Leaf, and the British Sovereign. Any of these will be recognized and accepted anywhere in the world. In terms of quantity, think in terms of percentage of your total savings rather than absolute numbers. A common prepper guideline is between 10 and 20% of your liquid savings in physical precious metals, split between gold and silver. Gold for wealth preservation, silver for liquidity. The exact split depends on your situation, your timeline, and how seriously you assess the risk of systemic collapse. Storage is the part most people get wrong. A bank safe deposit box is not safe in a collapse. Banks close, governments freeze assets, and you may not be able to access it when you need it most. Home storage in a quality safe, bolted to the structure in a non-obvious location, known only to those who absolutely need to know. That is the baseline. For larger holdings, consider splitting storage across multiple locations. Never put everything in one place. That is true for food, fuel, and precious metals equally. And here is something the mainstream financial world will never tell you. In every major financial crisis of the last century, governments have moved to restrict or confiscate private gold holdings. The United States did it in 1933. Other governments have done it since. This is not conspiracy theory, it is documented history. Physical gold, stored outside the banking system and outside government visibility, is the version that survives these events. Think carefully about that. So where does gold fit in the overall prepper strategy? It fits at the intersection of financial preparedness and long-term survival. Silver gets you through the collapse. Gold gets you through what comes after. Land gives you independence during the collapse and after it. Together, the triangle is complete. Each element covers what the others cannot. The prepper who has only food and weapons but no financial resilience will survive the immediate crisis and then be destroyed by the economic aftermath. The prepper who has gold and silver but no land and no food reserves will be wealthy on paper in a world where paper means nothing. The complete strategy requires all three legs of the triangle, and it requires building them now, before you need them. Because the time to prepare is always before the crisis, never during it. In the next video, we are going to talk about food storage, the most underestimated pillar of preparedness, and the one most people get dangerously wrong. If this video gave you something to think about, share it with someone who still believes their savings account is safe. Subscribe for daily content, because on this channel, we do not talk about fear. We talk about solutions. I am Nono. Stay prepared. I will see you tomorrow.